I was wrong about Lane Kiffin. I was wrong about Ole Miss because when Ole Miss was up and then Oklahoma hit the big run and they ended up taking the lead and they were up by one, I said, there's Ole Miss that we know and love. I said, see, Lane Kiffin last week, they choked versus Georgia and they're going to choke this game. And I said, you know what? When Oklahoma wins this game, everybody's going to look at the 2 quarterback trick plays that Lane Kiffin tried, and it won't be good. That's what I was saying in the third quarter. But in the fourth quarter, Ole Miss goes on a 9-0 run, ended up winning this game. And now the narrative is switched. Guys, we're going to talk about Ole Miss winning 34-26 today. And I want to start off with Ole Miss because they got the W. And I want to start off by saying, yeah, I was wrong about Ole Miss because I thought that coming off of a loss, going into Oklahoma, when they gave up the lead, I didn't think that they would be able to get the momentum back and finish this game off. But to my surprise, they regained composure. They finished the game. Their defense woke up, and they ended up getting the W today. Now, everything wasn't perfect, but I think if you want to talk about a position group, you want to talk about this defensive line for Ole Miss, who was hounding Mateer, was after Mateer. Now, they didn't totally shut him down. They didn't get a shutout. But when this team needed big stops, we saw what happened. We saw how Eccles was just coming through the interior. And we heard about the 2 freshmen on the outside of the tackles. And Ole Miss took advantage of that. But their interior played good as well. So I definitely want to tip my cap off to this Ole Miss defense. And I got to rewatch the game. This is an instant reaction. But the early touchdowns, the Centennial touchdown, the touchdown in the second half, Robinson breaks them. Those are mistakes that can be fixed. You know, you lost a receiver. They got behind you. He took it 76 yards. Okay. You missed the gap. The running back takes it. Okay. That's something that if they get in that film room, they can fix them. We know what we're going to get with Lane Kiffin on the offensive side. We're paying attention to the offense, and the knock on the defense. And the knock on this Ole Miss team was their defense isn't like the defense last year. They lost a lot of guys to the NFL. And I felt like this defense heard us talking about it, heard people talking about it and said, okay, we're going to make plays. Wasn't perfect, but they made plays when they needed to. And you look at this Ole Miss offense, Winston Watkins, hello. There was no answer for him. There was no answer for him. Sammy Watkins' cousin, by the way. And you got a true freshman that's coming on to already add to the old reliable Lacey at the running back position. Trinidad Chambliss gets a big victory on the road. If you're Ole Miss, you're feeling good. You're feeling great because you're the number 18. You're going to climb in the rankings. You only have 1 loss, and that was to a good Georgia team. You look at your schedule, it's very winnable to win out. But even if you lose a game, you still feel good. And another thing is this. If you're Ole Miss, you want to keep winning, not just because of the playoffs. Because I believe if Ole Miss makes the playoffs, it's going to be hard for any team out there to try to hire him as a coach. I'm talking to the Florida Gator fans. Now, Oklahoma Sooners, you guys lost, so we saved the BTA talking to the end. This Oklahoma team, this Oklahoma defense, it can't get right. It can't get right at the same time. At the beginning of the game, it was Mateer making a couple big plays, but the defense was doing some arm tackles that I usually don't see for Oklahoma. losing people in zone coverage that I usually don't see. I was like, okay. There's no running game, so Ole Miss is able to tee off on John Mateer. But then the second half, they're still in the game. The second half, and we get a running game. Yeah. The running game kicks up, and you have not Torrey Blaylock, who I thought was going to be a big key in this game, but Xavier Robinson hitting a couple big plays. But then it was like John Mateer, we know he's a good player, but I often feel like he falls in love with hero ball. I believe because of the running game has not always been there, and it's not something that Oklahoma can count on. Yes, Xavier Robinson went for over 100 yards today. He had the big run. But it's not something that a team that this Oklahoma Sooners team has been able to count on. And I believe it's gotten into Mateer's head that he has to be the hero. At the end of the game, listen, I'm not some quarterback guru. I'm saying, why is this man not checking the ball down? The announcers are saying, why isn't this man checking the ball down? You Oklahoma Sooner fans at home was probably saying, why isn't he checking the ball down? He's just launching it like, brother, calm down. You don't have to make every play. But I understand him feeling that way when you have two starting freshmen on your offensive line. When you've been getting hit and hit and hit. And when, yes, again, you're running back. Robinson did have a big game, but it wasn't something that you can count on. It was a big run. It wasn't something you can count on. So John Mateer just said, shit, I got to do this by myself. And he wasn't able to do it. Coming into this year, Brett Venables, you got your quarterback. You got your offensive coordinator in Armbuckle. They were a package deal. You're calling the defense. And it seems like all of that versus these good teams, they can't come together at the same time. I see the vision of this Oklahoma Sooner team, but I don't see it for 4 quarters. And when you play an Ole Miss, that's what you're going to have to do. So, Oklahoma is looking bleak for you. We'll see what you can do. But if you can't get a consistent run game, and then your defense isn't the defense that we thought it was going to be, kudos for coming back, but you lost this game. What do you guys think? Let me know what y'all think in the comments. I'm out. Peace.